What's up, Speak For Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to Speak For Yourself.
Welcome to Speak For Yourself. I'm LeVar Arrington along with Joy Taylor and Rick Bucher. We're in for Wiley and Nacho. Let's get it started in Dallas, all right? The clock is ticking on the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. The deadline for the franchise tag is in just 5 days. And James Slater reported that Dak is looking for a salary that is right behind Patrick Mahomes. So, Joy, does Dak have all the leverage right now?
He does have all the leverage, guys, because money makes the world go round, and that's what this is really all about. I love Dak. He's great intangibles. He's a winner, great locker room guy. The city loves him. He's great in the community, and all that stuff is super important when you have a franchise quarterback. But as we know, he's got to get paid, and he's playing this perfectly. Now, I wouldn't do it this way because I'm a little more timid when it comes to money. But Dak is being very aggressive, and it's going to end up paying off. He's going to make his money either way, and that's the issue that the Cowboys are in right now. So they're going to franchise tag him. We're assuming they don't get a long-term deal done in the next 5 days. So that's $37.7 million that they're going to pay him this year, fully guaranteed, on top of the franchise tag that he's already been playing on this year. What happens next year if they don't get a deal done? They're going to owe him $54 million guaranteed. They're not going to be able to pay him that. But guess what? He's going to be able to get a long-term deal somewhere else unless they work out a long-term deal with him in Dallas. He has all the leverage, all the power, all the control. Because at the end of the day, you can't not have a quarterback. You have to have a quarterback to win in this league. If you look at the division, a lot of these teams are going to get better. Washington's going to figure out their quarterback situation. I have faith in that. Daniel Jones is going to have another year in the system. It's not going to be the same disastrous NFC East next year. You're going to have Dak back, and if he bets on himself, so pending he has an abysmal year or gets another injury, he's going to have all the leverage and have all the power to go wherever he wants. The pitch is, you can stay in Dallas, there's no state tax, you're going to get all the endorsements from being with the Dallas Cowboys, but who's to say that Dak won't end up with another super high-profile team, because we know there's always teams that need quarterbacks every single year. Who's to say he won't end up there and be the superstar that he is in Dallas? Dallas is great, but they are up against it, and it's their fault, because they should have figured out this contract situation before they paid Zeke and other guys on the team. You've got to take care of your quarterback first. Dak is playing it perfectly aggressive, I'll give it to him, but he is in the power seat right now.
That is very, very, very compelling, Joy. I felt good, but no. This is not a leverage situation for Dak Prescott. Dak wasn't even the starting quarterback at the end of the season, Joy. Dak didn't have a Pro Bowl caliber year, and the Dallas Cowboys didn't have a Super Bowl caliber year. Where is the leverage at? If I go to another team, where is my leverage? What am I going to base it off of? The year before? I don't know about that. So you're telling me the one thing that we all hated as players was getting the franchise tag. Loved the money for 1 year, but hated that there was no stability because it wasn't beyond 1 year of a contract. And if you got hurt, it could mean a lot of lost leverage. Whoa, what happened to Dak Prescott? He got hurt. He got hurt bad, missed the entire season. How do you leverage coming off of a horrific injury like that? I just don't see him getting that momentum drive to get that contract done based off of the circumstances. And as you look at the year before, you would have thought, even though the team didn't do well, Dak did well. So let's get a contract done. It didn't happen. They were willing to wait and see what Dak was going to do. If they were willing to wait to see what Dak was going to do last year, Joy, why would they not do the same exact thing with 5 days remaining until you go into that franchise tag deal? Hey, Bukes, I don't see there being any leverage for Mr. Prescott right now.
I am with you, LeVar. I don't see it either with any team, much less Dak Prescott's situation. Any team that has the franchise tag available and is willing to use it, I don't see the player having leverage in that situation, particularly when I look at what it is that Dak wants. By the way, Joy, I can tell that LeVar is really trying to impress you being on the show today.
How?
Because he's wearing his favorite shirt again.
Wow.
We're seeing it for the second time this week.
This is actually a different shirt. It's new.
You
Just
have
out the bag.
two identical shirts. I think it goes to show how much you love that shirt.
You cannot go wrong with a white shirt, especially if it's new and clean.
Point still stands. He's trying to impress you, Joy.
Well,
that said,
we won't be mad at that.
Does Dak have leverage in terms of he's going to get paid? Yes, and he's going to get paid handsomely. But does he have the leverage to get what he wants, which is to be paid right behind Patrick Mahomes? And to LeVar's point, maybe, just maybe, coming off of last year, he had something close to that leverage. But he would have less at this point because of the injury and because we didn't see him over this last year. And until I actually see a team out there or hear of a team out there, not that there aren't teams that would want Dak Prescott. Certainly there are quarterback-thirsty teams that would. But someone who's willing to pay him Patrick Mahomes-like money, that's what I'm having a hard time believing. And if that's what he wants, the combination of the injury and people not knowing him as well as the Cowboys know him, I have to know that money's there, and I'm just not believing that it is.
We get caught up in this every single time a quarterback gets paid because the market gets reset. Patrick Mahomes' contract is obviously massive, as we know, but it's also spread out over a long period of time. So it's going to go up over the next couple years, but in the end, it's going to be flexible with the team. So being paid behind Patrick Mahomes, as fans and media, we think, Patrick Mahomes, you have to be as good as Patrick Mahomes. No, you are what the market says you are, which is why next year he would be making $54 million guaranteed on the tag. So you can't get too caught up in comparing, is Patrick Mahomes as good as Dak Prescott? Of course he isn't. But the value of Dak Prescott to teams that need a quarterback is massive. Think of teams that need a quarterback right now. Next year, we don't know what the Patriots are going to be in. Let's just talk about this year. Let's say Dak was available to go somewhere else this year. The Patriots, the Steelers, who we're going to talk about later, certainly need a future at that position. Washington, obviously, wouldn't go there in division, but these are teams that need a quarterback. There's no way to measure that value when you have the market set. So should he get Patrick Mahomes money or a Patrick Mahomes-like contract? Probably not. But that's what the market says is what you pay a franchise quarterback. It goes up every single year. We always overreact to it. And that's how it goes. So I'm not getting caught up in that money. And he does deserve to get paid. This is what he does for a living. If he wants to make the most amount of money possible, that's what he should do. And the Cowboys really are up against it because they have to have a quarterback. We saw what happened this year. To your point, LeVar, he wasn't available. And what did they do? They were terrible.
They were just as bad as they were with him.
I think they would argue differently. They certainly weren't. They were 4-7 without him. So they do need a franchise quarterback, and they're always going to be just good enough to not be able to draft a franchise quarterback. And you really want to rely on what the free agency market is going to be for franchise quarterbacks? He has all the leverage.
They got off to a slow start with Dak Prescott before he departed for the season. If he was using leverage, if he had leverage, we probably see him doing with 5 days left before this franchise tag has to be taken care of. See him acting like, say, Deshaun Watson, maybe even Russell Wilson. I mean, think about it. These guys aren't happy with the situation they're in right now, the scenario that's playing out for them. So, Joy, why haven't we really heard anything from Dak Prescott? Is it because of the leverage being so strong that he doesn't have to say anything?
Well,
He's just waiting around.
Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson have already been paid. Dak Prescott is looking for his payday, and he's playing the game perfectly. Let's look at the standard for who has done this in the most perfect way.
Okay.
I don't love him necessarily on the field, although he's certainly a serviceable quarterback.
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins played the tag game masterfully. Masterfully.
But hold on.
It worked out in his favor.
But hold
He made a
on.
ton of money and continues to get contracts, and that's what Dak wants. That's the reason why they haven't gotten a contract done in Dallas, is because Dak wants a 4-year deal. They want a 5-year deal. He wants to be able to be up in a few years and get another big contract. That's what this is. It's not that Dallas hasn't offered him a contract. It's not that they haven't offered him a nice contract. It's that he wants a shorter deal and they don't want to do it.
It's a good point, but I wouldn't use Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins isn't a franchise quarterback. They were trying to figure. Well, he has not been a franchise quarterback since I've been watching.
What is the standard for franchise quarterbacks now? How has Washington been at the quarterback position since Kirk's left?
Well, they haven't been good since Kirk, before Kirk, during Kirk. They haven't been very good. I mean, I just keeping it real with y'all. And listen, Kirk is probably the closest and the best comparison that we can give. And I like that comparison. But we're talking about a question that says, does he have the leverage with the Cowboys? I don't think he has the leverage with the Cowboys. And I don't think that Kirk Cousins had the leverage with the Washington football team. And it ended up playing out where maybe he went somewhere else and got the money. He did go get the money somewhere else. Does Dak Prescott go get that money somewhere else? That's very possible that happens, because we are seeing a franchise that is not going to pay the money and the value that Dak Prescott is looking for. So no matter how we look at it from a leverage standpoint, unless something drastic happens to sway this Dallas Cowboys organization to make a different decision as it plays for Dak, I think he is going to have to look elsewhere to get that money. And if he's looking elsewhere to get that money, how do you convince another franchise that you should pay the money that you want, that you're seeking, that you can't get where you're currently at, coming off of a season-ending injury? I just think that's hard to say you still have leverage based off of those given circumstances, Rick.
Joy, I'm glad you brought up Kirk Cousins, because, yes, he played it perfectly for himself. But I would say he's a cautionary tale for any team that's looking to pick up Dak Prescott at a premium price, because Kirk Cousins has not delivered what they had hoped for in Minnesota. I know they're singing the song that he's their guy, etc., but he has not lived up to that contract. I think there's also a way to measure whether a guy does deserve that contract. And it's, does he get me to a Super Bowl early in his deal? I mean, look at the top guys that are paid. We've got Russell Wilson. We've got Ben Roethlisberger. We've got Jared Goff. We've got Patrick Mahomes. The only outlier among the top 5 paid quarterbacks is Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson, quite honestly, has played with a lot less talent than Patrick Mahomes has. Dak Prescott has. Dak Prescott had 6 Pro Bowlers with him in one particular season 2 years ago. That's the total of Pro Bowlers that Deshaun Watson has played with in his entire career. So I wouldn't put Dak Prescott in Deshaun Watson's category overall as a quarterback. I agree with you. Dak should get paid, and he should get paid by the Dallas Cowboys.
Just not as
but
much
to
as he
this
wants.
point, what the Dallas Cowboys have offered, I feel is commensurate with what his worth is. And they've tried to go the Patrick Mahomes route and extend that contract so they can balance the value. And Dak doesn't want that. He wants to get paid in full right now on a short-term basis. And I can see why the Dallas Cowboys are dragging their feet.
Everyone gets injured, as we know, in this game, so that happens. He's been very durable other than that. And it's supply and demand for me, guys. Who are they going to replace him with? Who did Washington replace Kirk Cousins with? They're still in the quarterback conversation. Coming up, the drama in Seattle is not going away. We'll tell you if it's time for the Seahawks to seriously consider trading Russell Wilson. That's next.
Hey, speak for yourself, listeners. I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
Welcome back. The latest reports out of Seattle say Russell Wilson is not happy, and the Seahawks have made calls to other teams about trading away their QB. This follows a report by Michael Silver, who said, quote, the Seahawks are not happy with the way this has gone down since the end of the season. Russ's agent said recently he would approve a trade to 4 teams. So, LeVar, should the Seahawks seriously consider trading Russ?
Yeah, they have to, Joy. I mean, when you think about it, Russ has given them really no other recourse in this scenario. And when you think about how he has spoken out and said the things that he has had to say, it brings a spotlight on the Seattle organization that probably hasn't been on it in maybe quite some time. Think about, is there dysfunction taking place? Someone as solid as Russell Wilson, who would have an issue with how things are being done and the management and the lack of accountability or holding accountable for people like your head coach. I think that it is a very, very dangerous place for Seattle to be in, because you don't want this to become prevalent amongst your current players. Imagine if other players in that locker room felt as though Russ is doing this void of any type of repercussions, any type of consequences, and yet gets exactly what it is that he would like to get out of the situation. I just think that there are too many guys that are watching. There's too many things that could go wrong if you don't handle this decisively. And I already feel as though Seattle has not. Who is Seattle? Who is Seattle that is, we don't like the way things are being handled, right? Who are you? Because I haven't gotten a name connected to Seattle responding to Russ's saying. So I think they have to look at making the trades. Obviously, we heard they've made the calls. They got to do it to stay face as an organization right now.
They don't have to trade Russell Wilson. What are we talking about? Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer. What are you talking about? You can't trade him. Fix it. Fix it. Listen to him. Look, we are, well, LeVar and I are here in Hollywood, right? We deal with talent a lot. We're talent. We're difficult. We're sensitive little flowers. And, you know, I need my heated blanket and my coffee at my certain time, or I freak out if I don't have my special pen. Okay, he's talent. You can't win without talent. It sounds great. The Seahawks, huge brands, 12-man fans, and Pete Carroll and the Legion of Boom and all that. Like, he is the one that makes this happen. Russell is the one that makes this happen. Also, let's not disregard the fact that he is on pace to be sacked more than any quarterback in the history of the NFL. He has been sacked more than any quarterback since he's been in the league.
Who are you blaming that on?
Some of it, a small percentage of it, could be that Russ likes to cook and he does bail out, although if it was a clean pocket, I don't know why he's running around. But let's give a small percentage of those sacks to his style. The rest of it is on the offensive line.
A small percentage.
A small percentage. And I'm doing that just for argument's sake, because I really don't even believe in that. Okay. You have to fix it with Russell Wilson. Forget what they're going to have to carry in dead money. What are you going to do at the quarterback position? You have to stay relevant. There are certain situations that are toxic, like Deshaun Watson and the Texans. That's where I think they should part ways. You have to fix it with Russell Wilson. Why is it so difficult to listen to what Russell has to say? He's been the perfect company man. Every single interview, go Hawks. He's wonderful in the community. A perfect example of your organization. He's everything you would want in a franchise quarterback, and he's a winner, and he's a Hall of Famer in his prime. What do you think you're going to get for him? Seattle's tired of the drama? Oh, everything that's gone out after the season. Russ has been perfect. Perfect. All he's asking for is to be heard and upgrading the offensive line. Things like this make me start rooting against organizations. Let Russell go, and let's see how this works out for you. I'd love to see it.
That's why you got to go.
You know what? Go ahead and upgrade yourself. See what you're going to do after Russell Wilson. Wow. I feel like it's going to be a disaster, but go ahead and do
No, it's your turn. It's your turn, Rick. Go ahead. You follow that.
What is it that you want? See, Joy, he's been doing this all week. He's painting Russell Wilson. He's been on this jihad to paint Russell Wilson as some bad actor. as some bad, as a malcontent, as a troublemaker, as a how dare you speak ill of the Seattle Seahawks just because I'm getting mollywopped on a regular basis every weekend. And by the way, Joy, you were too nice. You said a small percentage. I think once upon a time it was a small percentage. Russell Wilson has gone out of his way to stay in the pocket whenever he can. He has been as judicious and smart about rolling out and running as any quarterback in the league in the last few years. And still, it's caving on him. And rather than talking to other teams, Seattle, how about talking to your quarterback, your franchise Hall of Fame, went to 2 Super Bowls with quarterback who signed for the next 3 years and has been a good guy in the community, a good soldier throughout this. And so he says, you know what? I'd like to have a voice in how we run the offense. I got some ideas. And he gets shut down and he feels some kind of way about that while, again, getting mollywopped on a regular basis. There's a simple solution, and it's not taking calls or finding out what's out there on the market. Because here's the other thing. He's got a no-trade clause. So whatever you decide, you can't just uniformly send him someplace. There's 4 teams that you could potentially be talking to. And considering how good the team is, like this is not Deshaun Watson in Houston where what's he got to play for? It's not going to be a good team whether he stays or goes. Once the season starts, Russell Wilson is going to be back to playing because he's got a good team and he's a good soldier and he's got ambition. This is a different story. So why poison those waters by suggesting that, yeah, you know what, we could do without you? That's the wrong message to be sending to Russell Wilson. The message should be, hey, you know what, our bad. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Let's see how we get back on the same page.
Russ.
Because unlike LeVar Arrington, we don't think you're a bad guy. We just think you're feeling bad about getting mollywopped every day.
Oh, my gosh. Hi, Russ. Hey. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Russ. I am so super sorry. Can we please just work this out? Hey, listen, when it became a public conversation by who? Russ? Was it Russ?
Yeah.
Or was it Seattle?
Yeah.
Was it Seattle or was it Russ? Was it Russ? Oh, it was Russ. Russ made this a public conversation. So you got to know that Russ is very calculated. Y'all sitting here talking about they need to fix it with Russ. Russ don't want it to be fixed. Russ has already made his decision. He wants to move on and he wants to leverage it. So now all it can do is...
Are you confusing him with Deshaun Watson?
What's that?
Because he hasn't said the same thing Deshaun Watson has said.
Say that again. Wait.
Deshaun Watson has said, I want out of here. Russell Wilson has said, I want out of here if. There's a difference between those two.
The minute you said, I want out of here.
If.
The minute you said, I want out of here, I don't care if you add if or any other qualifiers. You have basically said, I'm ready to go. That's Russell Wilson. He's too calculated to have just said, I want to go if. Like, no. You're saying I want to go because there is a better scenario for me that can play out somewhere else. You've already took that step. Like, let's not sugarcoat that or dance around that. That's factual type of information. What do you mean? I want to go, like, to put your organization out there and say, I want to go if in the public eye. You've already put them out there, and that's already a fracture that you're not going to fix as an organization and as a player. So think about it this way. Joy, you said, how do you upgrade? I'll tell you how you upgrade. One of those 4 teams. He said what? Chicago, Dallas, New Orleans, Las Vegas. Maybe I don't upgrade right away, but maybe I get serviceable right away. Maybe I depend on the things I depended on when I had Russell early on in his career, like building a good defense and building a nice, strong running game with our line of scrimmage. So let's send him off to Las Vegas. Think about this. I put Las Vegas on my list of teams because he believes he can go to Las Vegas and win and have some say with Mayock and with Chucky. Okay, what if Las Vegas offered Carr and 2 first-round draft picks? That's very possible for a guy like Russell Wilson. It's not in the NFC. It's still out west. Why would that be a problem to make that move if I'm Seattle? Because if I'm looking at Russell Wilson, there is already a fracture that will not be. There is no ifs to correct that fracture Find a way to make it work. Maybe it's Las Vegas. Maybe Carr is serviceable enough for a swap and some draft picks. But what y'all talking about, I don't see it. I don't see him coming back to Seattle this year. Can't see it.
If it was that direct, then he'd only have to put one name on his list of teams, and it would be the Las Vegas Raiders. He provided them offense. And again, I wouldn't want to be one of your kids, LeVar. Dang.
Why not?
The difference between me saying, you know what, I'll do it if, or I'll do it, there's a big difference there. Hear all the words that I'm saying. And this is the bottom line for me with Russell. Like, what he has complained about are legitimate complaints. And he didn't come right out and say them. He didn't say, hey, look, something needs to change with our offense. He went to a meeting with the team and said, hey, I'd like us to do this different. And they dismissed him out of hand. His issues with the offensive line, those are legit. Nobody's suggesting that they don't need to improve their offensive line. Their defense is good. Their running game is good if they can retain Chris Carson. They got DK. They have all the pieces. It would be a monstrous mistake at this point to go roll your dice. What, with Derek Carr? Like, Derek Carr is going to take the Seahawks someplace? If he could do that, he would have taken the Raiders someplace.
You know,
when you get your dream girl and you guys are going through a rough patch, she's dressing up and going out more, do you just give up? Or you say, honey, let's talk. What's wrong? You know what? I probably should hit the gym a little bit more. You were right about that. I need to take care of myself. You know what? We do need to go on more dates. Let's do that. These are reasonable requests, Rick. You're right. I would like an offensive line, and I'd like to, be heard in the front office, considering I am the brand. The Seahawks are not as big as Russell Wilson. It's a new day, guys. You got Instagram, social media, YouTube. Seahawks are a big brand, but they're a big brand right now because of Russell Wilson. You can't do better than Russell Wilson right now. LeVar, maybe, you get a little something serviceable. You can make it work. You have a nice life together, but you let your dream girl go, and you're not going to replace her. That's how it's going to go with Russell Wilson. Make it work, Seattle. Because if you let him go, we opened the show talking about the Dallas Cowboys quarterback who didn't play last year.
If my dream girl says if my dream girl says we getting dressed up and we going out to eat, but if you don't, I'm going to choose this dude and this dude and this dude.
Maybe you've been messing up. You weren't listening long enough.
Well, I tell you what, then you be on your way. Coming up next, Big Ben is back in Pittsburgh. We'll tell you if it was the right move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coming up next on Speak for Yourself.
Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back. The Steelers announced today they have signed Big Ben Roethlisberger to a new contract to return next season. Big Ben turned 39 earlier this week and said in a statement, quote, I am grateful to be at this stage of my career and more than happy to adjust my contract. So, Joy, you are a Steelers fan. Did the Steelers make the right move in locking in Big Ben for another season?
No, they didn't, Rick. LeVar and I are from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He went to North Hills. I went to Woodland Hills. Woodland Hills is better. It's fine.
Oh, we beat Woodland Hills.
That
was our homecoming.
No, they didn't make the right move. I bring that up because Pittsburgh is a very loyal place. The Steelers are a loyal organization. They are a very steady organization. They are a very committed organization. However, they've lost their way because the Steelers used to be an organization that held Lombardi trophies as the standard for a successful season. Anything less than that was a disappointment, and we've got to make changes, and we've got to make them fast. On the field, obviously, they keep the same coaches. They're great behind the scenes. The Rooneys are great owners. But I didn't like what I heard from them last week, talking about, we had the longest winning streak in franchise history. We won the division. Won the division? When did that become the standard for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Not the Pittsburgh Steelers that I know, but we are a loyal city and they are a loyal organization. So they're going to try and make it work with Ben one more year. I think it's nice of Ben that he restructured and gave them some money and some flexibility. But no, it's time to move on from Ben Roethlisberger. Apparently, I was the only one that watched the end of that Pittsburgh Steelers season, because while that winning streak was great and it was fun, and I certainly enjoyed it, the end of the season was an utter collapse. And Ben did not look great. He did not put up great numbers. And Ben is at the end of the road. What was the last time they won a playoff game? 2016? They've lost 3 straight playoff games. You want to talk about Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson and the value that they have to these organizations. What is Ben bringing to the organization? He's not a workout guy. He's not a huge culture guy. His teammates like him. The city likes him, but he's blocked them from moving forward at the quarterback position and bringing in his heir apparent for whenever he decides to retire, which he's been talking about for 3 or 4 years now. They need to make an aggressive move for whoever is up next at the quarterback position. And the most important thing, since we're talking about winning division, is all of the other quarterbacks in this division, which, by the way, 3 of those teams were in the playoffs this year. So it is the best division in football, are all young men. Joe Burrow is going to be back next year. We know what Lamar Jackson is capable of. Baker Mayfield is solid. What are you guys going to do going into the future after this year? Because if you bring Ben back, that's great. Cool. Maybe he wins another division. I don't think he'll win another playoff game because I think that time has passed and the AFC is getting better as we speak. But what are you going to do next year? Are you willing to make a trade to bring someone in like Sam Darnold? Are you willing to make some moves to ensure that you have the next guy that's going to come in after Ben Roethlisberger eventually does retire? Probably not. I don't see them making those kind of aggressive moves. So, no, I don't think it was a good idea. They're just keeping a little Band-Aid there. They're being soft. They want to, ease him into retirement or whatever. But I don't think this is a good move for the Steelers.
Names like Yancey Thigpen and Louis Lips and Ernie Mills and John L. Williams. There are names that you'll hear that you'd be like, well, who are they? But they were amazing contributors to this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Yes, this is a great move. It's not great in the sense of the player, Ben Roethlisberger, that he is right now, but it's a great move because you're doing something that the Pittsburgh Steelers do. You got to pay attention to what they're doing to understand how they get the results that they consistently get. Sure, we can sit there and discuss and argue that they may have lost their way because we're saying, hey, they won a AFC North championship. I get it. I get where you're coming from, Joy, but I think what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to address multiple issues by utilizing their ability to scout. That's why I brought those names up leading into my point. It's why did he bring those names up? Well, Pittsburgh knows how to find talent, and Pittsburgh knows how to develop talent at the quarterback's position, at the receiver's position, at other positions on the field. They've known how to identify and bring guys in. People are hard on Dwayne Haskins. They're hard and they're down on him and they want to write him off. But this is a guy that was as elite as it got at the college ranks, and he's not that far removed. He's not ruined. He's not a broken quarterback in the National Football League. He's just someone that has needed a little bit more guidance and some time to have some maturity set in. And I think that that's something that he can find in Pittsburgh with the type of leadership that Mike Tomlin and this coaching staff brings to the table. So why bring back Ben Roethlisberger? He took a pay cut. He's affordable. That's first and foremost. We're able to give him the respectful departure, swan song, so to speak, that you can. And along the way, you're developing Dwayne Haskins to see another affordable player on your roster if he can be that guy. If it doesn't work out, at the least, we had a year where we could give Ben Roethlisberger his proper due and his proper send-off, and we get rid of and we send off Haskins as well as Ben Roethlisberger after this season, and you move on. But then you think about what you have to replace. Pouncey retires. You got to find the center. It's the most important guy on your offense, not the quarterback. It's your center. Your quarterback is only as good as your center is, so you got to find the center. You got to re-sign Bud Dupree. That's a big sign. I think that if you're going to let him go, then you had better be able to bring in a guy that can replace the production that Bud Dupree brings to that defense. Ultimately, they were 11-0 when their defense was intact. So this wasn't really all about this being on Ben Roethlisberger and his arm being able to carry them to that 11-0 record. It was about how well their defense played. You get Bush back off of being injured. If you're able to bring back Bud Dupree, now you put your defense back intact. That's what you're going to lean on. That's the DNA of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It always has been. So by doing what you're doing with Ben Roethlisberger, I think you're measuring with what I would say an affordable way of approaching it, a discounted way of approaching it. You bring back your Hall of Famer for a swan song season, and you have an opportunity to see if you stole something from what took place with Haskins in Washington. But we stole it, and we made it. We polished it up. We shined it up, and we turned that piece of coal into a diamond. It's possible. Will it happen? I don't know, but why not give it a try?
Joy, I had no idea that Steelers fans share the same delusion that Yankees and Lakers and Cowboys fans share, that their team is always supposed to be championship caliber. And if it's not, that they're somehow being let down massively by the franchise. I think that this is certainly the right move. And you're looking at it as a Steelers fan. I'm going to look at it as a Bengals fan, which is what I am. Proud son of the Natty. And if you ask me, would I rather watch the Steelers or face the Steelers with Mason Rudolph or Sam Darnold or any other realistic options, considering the cap issues that LeVar pointed out, or face Big Ben? I'll take any of those other options. Yes, I know Big Ben is not what he once was, but he still has the capability. Look, 33 touchdowns against 10 interceptions. I saw the same collapse at the end of the year that you did. He's not the same quarterback that he was earlier in his career, but he still has the capability of making big plays in big situations. He still scares me. Even with an offensive line that may be compromised, it's tough to put him down. And combined with a healthy defense, I still think they're a force to be reckoned with. And let's not underestimate what he gave back. This isn't a Tom Brady negotiating an extension, so we got to live with you another year in order to get our cap number down this year. He took money off and a considerable amount that's going to allow this team to be better. I think that's something a little bit different with Big Ben that we haven't necessarily seen before, which is a certain dose of humility to say, I'm only going to be as good as the guys around me at this stage, and I'm willing to sacrifice some money in order to see that happen. Look, it's not
I'm
ideal.
only going to be on the team if I take this little bit of money.
It's sweet to imagine Roethlisberger getting some humility in his late age, but I think that played a major role in it.
Agreed. Fair, but better late than never.
Right. Well, to LeVar's point about the defense, which is absolutely true, that is usually the identity of the Steelers, and it was when they were playing well, is also the running game, which has been absent. And that's a major part of why Ben Roethlisberger wasn't able to perform at a high level, because he had to throw it 500,000 times. So they need to do that. And just I can't get out of here with any sort of implication that I am pro Mason Rudolph, because that is not the answer. So I just wanted to clear any confusion about that up. I'm willing to see what Dwayne Haskins can do, but I know what Mason Rudolph is.
Very interesting. Well, let's move on, right? Coming up, we're going to talk about this. The teams are calling for Deshaun Watson, but where is the best place for him to play? We'll discuss that next on Speak for Yourself. Speak.
Welcome back. Houston still has a Deshaun Watson problem. He wants to leave, and they don't want to trade him. The Houston Chronicle reports at least 5 teams have called the Texans about a trade. The Bears and Jets are among several teams that have been rumored as potential destinations. Greg Jennings joins us now, but Joy, where is the best place for Deshaun Watson in 2021?
Well, I think my answer will surprise you guys, but it's Miami. That's where he should go.
Not surprising.
Yes. Head to Miami, Deshaun Watson. You have a great coach in Brian Flores. You have great ownership and a great front office staff that is very welcoming to stars. Miami is a star city, It is a community that will embrace him.
Great.
You have a great defense. They need a little work on the offensive line, but they have plenty of picks. Also, they could send that number 3 pick and Tua to Houston. So nice trade there. They'll make it work. Miami is the place for him to go. He's already had it on his rumored list of places where he wanted to go, the Jets and Miami. I don't personally think that Tua is the guy. He's a system guy, he's a timing guy. We saw in the Super Bowl with the most talented quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes. He couldn't make it happen when things went awry. So can you imagine Tua in a situation like that? I'm in the business of winning Super Bowls. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I know Baker thinks that it's crazy that we think we should win Super Bowls every year, but that's how I operate. I want to win the rings, bring Lombardis. Come to Miami. It's a perfect setup for Deshaun Watson. They're trending in the right direction. The quarterback situation is the last piece that they need. It's the place to go. You're going to get plenty of endorsements, too. It's a wonderful international city. Not that that's swaying anybody these days because you can get endorsements anywhere. But you will have lots of business opportunities in Miami. It's going to be the new tech place. So that's what I think.
All right, Joy.
It sounds like, join their Chamber of Commerce.
You have some ties to Miami.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is completely unbiased.
They haven't been good since Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas.
For sure. And I agree with so much of what you said, Joy.
No,
however, for me, I would love for him to end up in
Green Bay.
No, they're not in San Francisco. Santa Clara. With the 49ers. And I know it's a long shot. But if I'm the 49ers and I'm John Lynch, the general manager, and Kyle Shanahan, I'm trying to do everything I can within reason to acquire a talent like Deshaun Watson. There are so many young assets that they already have at the receiver position. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Kendrick Bourne. You got Kittles at the tight end. You got Raheem Mostert, and behind you, you got so many pieces already intact there. And they definitely have questions about their quarterback position, and they want to upgrade that spot. So why not try to acquire someone who we know is an upgrade in Deshaun Watson, and then defensively we know what they can be. However, that might be the issue. What they would have to give up to acquire a talent like Deshaun Watson, I don't know if I'm willing to do that if I'm the 49ers, being that I just left my Super Bowl appearance a couple years ago. And let's not overlook the fact that this is a team that's coming off a ton of injuries. They had 10 guys on their roster, 10 major guys on their roster that either hit IR at some point, missed 4+ games. I'm talking from Jimmy Garoppolo to Kittles to Jaquiski Hart. All these guys, Raheem Mostert, Nick Bosa, the list can go on and on and on. This is a team that can get back to the Super Bowl. And in my opinion, if they were to acquire a guy like Deshaun Watson, they now become the front-running favorites. Yes, even over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in my opinion, to win it all. But Deshaun Watson does that for you. Go get him, John.
All right, look here. Brad Johnson, Jeff George, Donovan McNabb, Mark Brunell, Alex Smith, Tony Banks, Rex Grossman. What do all these guys have in common? They were starters at one point for another team and then ended up being a free agent, high-class free agent, going to somewhere else and found a home. Now, while I have always been known to much malign the Washington football team, this is clearly and easily, simply far and away the best decision for Deshaun Watson. Let me tell you why. Because no matter what the odds are, it could be a long shot favorite. Oh, we haven't heard that the Washington football team has jumped out there too. I played for them, so I can have Freudian slips and say it. We haven't heard that they've contacted the team. Okay, and who always finds a way to get their man? Dan Snyder. Now, I may accuse him of a lot of things that's wrong, but if there's one thing that has been right about him, he can get the guy that he wants, and he finds a way to make it work. Another thing that I really like, I've been talking to guys, Jason Wright, who is now one of, a team president of the Washington football team. Super dope dude. Played football, all right? Played pro, was, with the Arizona Cardinals, this, that. Then your GM, played ball, Mayu. And he played for the Washington football team when they had a different name. They got another guy up in there that does things. He's an executive VP of player personnel. He's a senior advisor. His name is Doug Williams. There has been this asserted effort to change the culture that has been plaguing this organization for so long. And I actually saw the difference this year. The defense looks amazing. They had the rookie of the year. You look something like a big diesel old yoked up with dreads, Jason Taylor. Bad boy. Bad man. Be a bad man for a long time. They got another guy on the other side, Mr. Montez Sweat, and they got some guys on the inside. Their defense is really, really good. They got McLaurin, a couple guys on that offensive side of the ball, Gibson. They have some real pieces in place. And in fact, if they had Alex Smith in that first round of the playoffs, after they found a way to get in there, they might have got out of the first round of the playoffs. This is a much better team than what people know right now. And the bigger thing that I'm happy about, for once in my life, I can actually sit here and say, this could really be a breath of fresh air for Deshaun Watson to go to the nation's capital, where Chocolate City is one of the dopest places to live. The DMV shouts out to Virginia, D.C., and Maryland. I'm not making no plugs or no pitches or anything like this, but it would be the best landing place for Deshaun Watson out of this scenario.
Did I get flipped to the Food Network? Because the amount of home cooking that's going on right now is insane.
I don't cook for them. I really don't.
If you know what,
me, I don't cook for Washington.
You're cooking for them. You're cooking for the area, and you're saying they're changed their ways.
I represent my
We should give them a chance. Let them have a quarterback. Like the Washington football team has been doing anything that would be attractive to Deshaun Watson. This is not the best place for LeVar Arrington to have Deshaun Watson go to. This is the best place for Deshaun Watson to go to.
Okay, so where is it then, Rick?
And if I'm Deshaun Watson and I have the opportunity to go play for a franchise that is all about Super Bowls, that has the best coach in the game, that has the best talent evaluator in the game, then I'm going to the New England Patriots as they rebuild their team around me, and I'm going to go play for Bill Belichick, where I know that Super Bowls are genuinely the mark, Joy, that they play for good reason. Because that's the mark that they generally hit. They have a young, good offensive line. They have cap room. And Deshaun Watson, to me, well, you know what? I don't need to tell you who Deshaun Watson is and why he would fit with the Patriots. Let's have Bill Belichick tell you why he fits with the Patriots. Give me full screen.
Okay.
Here's Bill Belichick talking about Deshaun Watson. I'll let you read it for yourself because I can't see it on my screen.
This is tampering.
But the reality is, this is who Deshaun Watson is, and this is what Bill Belichick thinks about him. Look, it is a long shot because what they'd have to give up, and they are in the rebuilding process. But ultimately, if I'm Deshaun Watson, this is where I'd want to be.
I hear you guys. I didn't hear South Beach mentioned as a bonus for any of those cities that you guys just talked about.
You got Ocean City right down the road.
Yes.
Good luck with that.
He's in the Bay.
It's lovely. Coming up, LeBron sat out last night, but would more load management actually help his Lakers? We'll discuss that next.
You got Sandy Point right down the road. Come on. Welcome back. LeBron James, well, he missed his first game of the year last night with a sore left ankle. LeBron has played the fourth most minutes in the league this season, and he's 36 years old. We got to bring our man Chris Broussard in. But, Rick, would more load management be good for LeBron James and the Lakers right now?
Absolutely, it would be. The number of minutes that he's played and the fact that he hasn't missed a game until now wasn't by design. That was by necessity because Anthony Davis has been out along with Dennis Schroeder. The idea was ultimately that they were going to get him to the end of the season and they were going to modify the number of minutes that he played. But in the big picture for where they are right now, look, we're playing under unusual circumstances. There really is no such thing as home court advantage, even though teams are playing on their home courts now. The lack of fans there changes that dynamic. And the Lakers, with their experience, particularly winning in the bubble, they don't need that in order to vie for another title. Their focus purely should be on how do we win another championship. And to win another championship, they need to get everybody to the finish line healthy and in one piece. And no one is more important to that than LeBron James. I know he has some MVP aspirations, but truly, if you're picking between the two, and I don't know that he can serve both masters, winning another championship, winning back-to-back championships in with two different franchises is going to do a lot more for his legacy than winning another MVP, a fifth MVP, at whatever age it may be. So I believe that the Lakers are going to load manage, and I believe that it's the prudent thing to do.
I agree that the number one priority for the Lakers has to be getting LeBron and Anthony Davis to the postseason as close to full health as possible. And even Dennis Schroeder, those 2 or 3 players, they have got to be close to full health. And so, yeah, a minor degree of, if we want to call it load management. I don't know if I'd even go that far with LeBron, but he'll miss a few games, all right? I mean, I wouldn't go the Kawhi Leonard route by any stretch of the imagination. But, yeah, hold him out a game here or there. And for all of LeBron's talk a week or two ago about punching the clock and all that, LeBron's only played all 82 games once. One time in his 18 years or 17 prior seasons, he's only played 80 or more 3 times. So LeBron is going to sit out a few games here or there. If you want to call it load management, so be it. I just don't think they need to go that far because, honestly, I'm not worried about LeBron's minutes right now. 34.6 minutes per game is what he's averaging. That's the same as he averaged last year. Those are both career lows, okay? He's fine playing 34 minutes a night. This is not unprecedented, all right? Michael Jordan at 39, turning 40, played 82 games at 37 minutes a night in his last year. Karl Malone at 39 years old played 36 minutes a game. Kobe Bryant in his 17th year played 38 minutes a night. I know he got the Achilles, but I'm just saying he still played 38 minutes a night. So this has been done before. LeBron's way below that. And in 2 of his last 4 games, he's played fewer than 30 minutes. Here's the other thing. If you watch LeBron this last week or so, at times during the whole season, he is off the ball more than I've ever seen him, especially in the last few weeks. Off the ball, Dennis Schroeder's handling it. Alex Caruso is handling it. That makes LeBron's minutes a lot less taxing, both physically and mentally. We know throughout his entire career, he's had to create plays for himself and his teammates 90% of the time. Now he's off the ball. He's moving a little more without the ball. He's shooting far more threes than he ever has. And that makes his minutes easier than they usually are. We know he knows how to coast, too. So even if he gives you 34 minutes, it's a lot different than the 34 minutes he played maybe when he was in Miami or even Cleveland. So I'm fine with where LeBron's at. I think he knows his body as well as anybody. 34 and a half minutes, I can live with that.
Yeah, obviously the Lakers want to win back-to-back championships, and the goal is to keep LeBron James and Anthony Davis healthy going into the playoffs. But LeBron has made it very clear he is not a load management guy. That's not how he operates, even though I'm glad that you brought that up, Chris Broussard, that he has missed games throughout his entire career, as he should, because it's a very long season, and you do want to be healthy for the playoffs. And when you are a player of LeBron James' caliber, the playoffs, postseason, winning championships is what matters. So, no, I don't want to see him in any kind of a load management situation. If he's actually injured, if he's dealing with an injury, then sit out. Of course, everyone does that. But that's not load management. That's dealing with an injury. Kawhi Leonard set this complete other standard for managing the regular season in his body because, according to him, he had a lingering injury that he wanted to manage. Now, it got a little out of control, and anytime we give it something a name, then it becomes a thing Then it mushrooms into this whole other cultural issue within the NBA, which I don't think actually exists, because there's been load management and sitting players for a very long time. It was actually pre-LeBron. It was Popovich that started this. So, no, I don't want to see LeBron in any kind of actual load management situation. I don't think it would be beneficial to his legacy, and he very much cares about that. I don't actually think it will help the Lakers. The main concern for the Lakers is Anthony Davis. LeBron James takes excellent care of his body. He's not someone that's going to sit out games for a load management situation, especially as much as he's talked about how he doesn't do that.
You know, I was in Washington, D.C. when Michael Jordan came there and was with the Washington Wizards. And one thing I asked myself when I was watching him, it's like, man, how does he do it? And how does he do it so consistently? And I started applying that experience that I saw Mike in Washington to this question. Would a coach load manage Michael Jordan? Would a coach tell Michael Jordan what he needs to do in terms of playing time minutes and sitting out games? Chris, Rick? I'll ask you that. Do you think that somebody would dictate to Michael Jordan what his minutes and what his load management is as a coach on the team?
No one would dictate to Michael Jordan what he was going to do, whether it was what cigar he was going to smoke post-game or whether he was going to play a certain number of minutes.
And you know what? I came to that same conclusion, is that nobody's going to tell and dictate to Mike what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. I think we have to approach LeBron James at this point in his career with the same scope, with the same lens. If LeBron needs to sit, LeBron will decide he needs to sit. If LeBron needs to sit out a game, then LeBron will decide if he needs to sit out a game. I think we have to know that at this point in the brilliance of LeBron James's career, that his mind is the reason why he's having a career that's comparable to the greatest to have ever played this sport, not anything else. So if he feels as though something is going on with his body that he needs to rest, slow down, tweak, you talked about during the games getting off of the ball, getting easier minutes, or even coasting at times. You know, so many times we go out of our way to talk about things that we need to do to try to protect the athlete. You got to protect them from himself. But when you're dealing with brilliance of a player and someone who has been as brilliant as LeBron has been for as long as he's been, I don't think you dictate to him or have to protect him in terms of what the load management would be or if he should even sit out games. He'll let you know. And I think that that's the way you have to approach it.
No, that's right on the money. Remember, if I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of the season, wasn't there talk coming from the Lakers that LeBron's going to play 32, 33 minutes a night? Something. I thought that was cute. I chuckled at that because I knew LeBron's going to determine how much he plays. And when I mentioned Jordan and Karl Malone and Kobe Bryant, remember, I mean, that wasn't light years ago, too long ago. Mm-hmm. But technology has improved dramatically even since then. And the way these guys take care of their bodies, LeBron, we know, spends $1.5 million a year on his body. I believe he gets a massage after every game. He's got his personal trainer, Mike Mancias, who does a great job of taking care of his body. They know what they're doing. And if years ago, a Karl Malone at even 38, I didn't mention that year, he played 38 minutes a night. If he could do that, then I think LeBron, with all the added treatment that he gets that wasn't even available at that point in time, I think he'll be fine at what he is, 34, 35 minutes a night.
Yeah, Chris, it may not have been that long ago that those guys played, but it was a different era in the way the game is being played. The number of minutes that guys are playing now is very limited. And in part, while I'm not a big load management guy, I do believe it's because the game is faster and more athletic than it's ever been. The minutes they play might not be as physical, but the sheer speed of the game has increased. The pace has increased. Joy, I'm glad you brought up Greg Popovich, and you're absolutely right. He was the first one to introduce the idea of load management and resting guys, not because they were injured, but simply to preserve them. The reason that he did that is because he had superstars that were vital to them playing for a title that were in their mid to late 30s, much like LeBron James right now. And while he has done a tremendous job of taking care of his body, he's in unknown territory right now, playing at the age that he's playing at under the circumstances of a short off season. There's a lot of unknowns here. Yes, he is going to decide how much he's going to play. I just hope that he errs on the side of caution and doesn't try to win MVP and another ring and just focuses on the ring, because he is 36. And as we're going to talk about later, there are some benefits and some downsides to increasing in age.
Well, we're going to exercise some load management for Joy Taylor because she's been carrying you through this show, Rick Bucher. Coming up next is James Harden now in the MVP race. We'll discuss that next on
Did you
Speak
just call
for
me Kyrie
Yourself.
Irving?
I called you out, Rick Bucher.
Welcome back. James Harden said he wanted to give the fans a show in his return to Houston, and he did just that. Harden had his 8th triple-double this season, finishing with 29 points. He was recently named Player of the Month for February, and his Nets are red hot, winning 10 of their last 11 games. So, Rick, is James Harden now in the MVP race?
For sure he is. Are the Brooklyn Nets in the race for the best record in the NBA? They are. And is James Harden balling out and carrying that team? He is. I know that the immediate thought is you're playing with Kevin Durant, you're playing with Kyrie Irving. You can't possibly be an MVP when you have that kind of stardom next to you. You may not even be the best player on the team. And so how are you going to be league MVP? But look, Kevin Durant has missed 18 games. Kyrie Irving has missed 11 games. James Harden has been, without question, the engine of this team. And if he continues to play the way he has, by the end of the season, we may be talking about him being the driving force of the Brooklyn Nets. Now, they're going to have the best record in the entire league for them to, for him to be MVP, to actually win it. I don't know if he can win it, but we saw Steph Curry win it when the Warriors had a record 7 games better than anybody else. Then they set the record for single season wins and go 73-9, and he wins it again. And that was with some very accomplished all-stars next to him and an established great team around him. So it is possible. But the bottom line is, if we're talking about just right now, should he be in the MVP race? Without question, for what the Brooklyn Nets are doing and what they've done with Kyrie and KD missing significant time, James Harden deserves credit for that. They may not give it to him in Houston, but he deserves credit for that and should be in this MVP race.
No, Rick, he shouldn't be. It's a very small sample size that he's played without Kyrie. Yes, Kyrie has missed 11 games, but he has only missed 5 of those when Harden was on the team. We are way overreacting to what James Harden is doing because it's beautiful what James Harden is doing. It's so much fun to watch him with the Nets. I did not enjoy his game when he was with the Rockets, and what he's doing with the Nets is spectacular. We'll give you that. But we're talking about the MVP of the league. You're not going to win the MVP when Kyrie Irving and KD are on your team, and that's just the facts. Maybe that's not fair, but life isn't fair. Fairs are for fried Oreos and Ferris wheels.
Oh, wow.
In reality, you're not going to do that. KD and Steph didn't win an MVP when they were playing together. Yes, Rick, you're right. Steph did win an MVP when they were great, but Kevin Durant wasn't on that team. We have a whole half of the season left to play. Kyrie's going to be back fully healthy. KD is eventually going to be back. How you finish the season is what's going to determine who the MVP is. And while I love everything that Harden is doing, you have to count, well, at least I am certainly going to consider what happened with Houston at the beginning of the season, because he did not spend his entire season with the Nets. I think he is playing incredible basketball. There's no question about it. He is leading the force of the Brooklyn Nets, which are just the most amazing team in the NBA to watch right now, in my opinion. But the MVP is a different conversation, and he is just not in it. We know KD and Kyrie are going to be back. They're going to cannibalize him. KD is the best player on that team when he's healthy. So, no, he's not going to win the MVP. He's having an incredible season. I love watching this, and I can't wait to see what he does in the postseason with this team. But, no, regular season MVP is not going to happen for James Harden.
Oh, joy, 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 joy. You are so wrong, and I'm going to tell you why right now. Okay, number one, before James Harden joined this team, you know what their record was? 7-6. Whoa, that's a KD and Kyrie Irving team. At 7-6. Okay, James Harden gets there. You want to know what they did after that? Well, ever since then, they've been 17-7. And oh, by the way, they've won 10 out of their last 11 games. And Mr. Harden has been a part of those games. I'm just saying, number 2 record, number 2 seed in the East. That's just team accolades. But if you want me to drive this home, why did I start off my answer by singing Joy, Joy? Joy, give me a full screen, and I'm going to tell you why I was singing to y'all. This full screen right here shows you that, while we will say that Joel Embiid has been the most dominant basketball player this season for the NBA, he merely ranks right around where LeBron and, James Harden is in scoring. That's interesting because then I look at rebounds. It's like, okay, Embiid got you on that too, but they're all right there, okay? So then we move down where we're talking about passing the ball, and, we all know that you got to be able to dish the ball to be able to win games. Well, Embiid, not so much. He's not so much of a court general. He doesn't feed the ball. He doesn't share the ball very much. That would probably be why he has a little bit more of a point average over the guys that are less selfish. Then you look at James Harden. Wow, 11.1. I do believe that leads the league in that category. And then you look at triple doubles. And although he doesn't lead the league, he leads the 2 other candidates that are leading that MVP discussion. So you're telling me there's 2 major categories that you would look at outside of winning as a team, outside of scoring, that would dictate why we should look at this guy as one of the best players? He was getting those assists. He just recorded his 8th triple-double the other night, which means he was getting triple-doubles while Kyrie Irving was on that court, Rick Bucher. I'm just saying, if that's not an MVP candidate, then who is?
LeVar, thank you so much for that full screen. And Joy, don't be stealing LeVar's tactics this early into our little group here.
Don't do it. Don't expose me.
Gathering. And that you changed the question. It's not will he be the MVP? It's is he in the MVP race?
Don't be putting our tactics out there, man. That's a Pittsburgh thing.
He's in the MVP race. And look, you make fair points about KD coming back and that the voters are probably going to look at it and say you just can't win when you have that much star power. But this is an unusually weak MVP class right now. I mean, Joel Embiid is at the top almost by default. We've never talked about him in this conversation before. And we got to know that he's going to be able to finish the season in health and that the Sixers are going to be able to maintain their current run. You got LeBron James, who's going to load manage. You got Chris Paul, who probably should load manage if he isn't. Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic have some road to gain as a result of where their team records are. Nobody's going to give Giannis 3 MVPs in a row. I just don't see that happening. So that's why I believe that while he certainly is in the MVP race, I can make an argument for if the Nets blow everybody out of the water and Harden continues to be both the scorer and distributor, making Kyrie and KD and this whole combo work, that he could wind up as MVP. It's not, look, it's a long shot, for sure. Circumstance is going to dictate it. But is he in the MVP race right now? He has to be in the MVP race right now.
Well, Rick, you'll have to forgive me if I change the question up because I have no idea what the criteria for winning an MVP is anymore.
Nobody does.
It's completely narrative-driven. So what am I supposed to say? KD and Steph couldn't win one together.
There's no definition.
There's no definition. So according to whatever the definition that's floating around this year is, no, James Harden is not in the MVP conversation.
That's a fair comeback.
Giannis won the MVP back-to-back years. Last year, it was clearly LeBron James' year to win the MVP since he's won 4 in his entire career, which is egregious. And what was the conversation for Giannis? Well, they have the best record in the league, and he has better numbers than he did last year when he won the MVP. How can we not give it to him again? I don't know, because define what an MVP actually is, and then we can really have the conversation about who is deserving of an MVP. And I'm not saying that the NBA MVP is not still, it's no longer a prestigious award, because it absolutely is. It's a huge honor. And there hasn't ever been one who's won it who wasn't deserving of it. But since we have no idea what the definition is, no, James Harden is not in the MVP conversation right now. There's no way to define it. It's. I don't want to go so far as to say it's like a prom queen type of situation, because it's like, the prom queen generally was someone who you expected to win. But like, can we define it? Am I wrong there, Rick?
No, we can't define it, but that means if it's not defined, we also can't exclude James,
Which
right?
means James should be in the
best player on best team
for this year.
It is one definition. That's why I'm saying if they have far and away the best record and he continues, his numbers say that he's the most influential player on that team, then I think there's a case that can be made for him as MVP. Long shot, no doubt about it. But is it possible? Because there is no definition, it's possible.
Well, then KD should have been in that conversation when he was with Steph and the Warriors and they were blowing everybody out. But I'm with you.
Probably
it's impossible to define. Coming up, is Baker Mayfield the long-term solution for the Browns? We'll answer that question next.
Welcome back. The Browns have not revealed if they will exercise Baker Mayfield's fifth-year option. Jared Goff and Carson Wentz signed long-term deals and were traded this offseason. But the Browns GM said yesterday it would, quote, be a stretch to say that's going to serve as a cautionary tale. He added that he expects Baker to have a fantastic 2021 season. So, LeVar, I have to ask, is Baker Mayfield the long-term solution for the Browns?
Because I'm not sure if he is the long-term solution, I'm going to say no. And I'm only saying no because I have questions. And those questions being, can he have sustained success and can he climb to higher heights of success? When I take a look at Baker Mayfield, I look at a team, when he took over as a rookie, they went 6-7 with him as a starter. All right. Now, in his sophomore season, he didn't improve. He went 6-10, played more games. In fact, if we're looking at the amount of losses, we could say he went backwards. He wasn't better. He just didn't have any more wins. He had more losses, though. But then we get to year 3, and he wins 11 games, loses 5, goes to the playoffs. And I feel good about that. I feel like, you know what? We got Stefanski in here. We got some stability at coach. They seem to vibe on the same frequency level and seem to be, having a harmonious relationship. That's a good thing. But what really, really concerns me about should I look at him as a long-term solution to our quarterback situation is his total yards. When I think about guys like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson and the things that they're able to do yardage-wise and production-wise, they rank in the top 10s, whereas Baker Mayfield, only in his second year, got as high as 14th in total yards. And to me, that's pretty damning. His best year at 11-5, Joy, he was 18th. Does that mean that you're winning an 11-5 year with your quarterback getting a total yards ranking of 18th? I don't think so. I don't think you can correlate the success of the team to one Baker Mayfield. So I don't look at him as the catalyst of why my team is winning. I'm looking at something other. If I see the value in what he brings outside of what the other catalysts are of us winning, then maybe I'll justify looking at him as a long-term solution to our team. But outside of that, he is not the guy. He's a piece to the puzzle, and I don't know that equates to being the guy as a long-term solution.
I think he is the long-term solution. So I would say yes, but there's no need to jump and pay him now. So just be patient. Give him another year in Stefanski's system. Stefanski was the coach of the year last year. They won a playoff game for what? The first time in 28 years? I mean, I could be skipping a few years on that, but a very, very long time in Cleveland. I'm glad you mentioned Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. Those three are Hall of Famers. They are transcendent players. The word transcendent implies there's not a lot of them. What teams fall into many, many times, and I think it's going to happen with Philadelphia this year, is they start to forget that there is a supply and demand issue for quarterbacks, starting franchise quarterbacks in this league. You've had some success with Baker, a team like the Cleveland Browns who has not had success in a very long time. Let's not start looking around, oh, well, maybe you can find Patrick Mahomes in the draft. Or just relax and build with what you have. You finally have some momentum. You're finally establishing a culture. Don't start getting greedy. Baker Mayfield has been a great soldier since his fourth head coach. He has done a tremendous job. And whatever you feel about Baker and his swag or his personality or whatever, he has completely bought into Cleveland. He has embraced Cleveland, and he has done a great job there considering the circumstances that were in Cleveland. Stop expecting everybody to be Patrick Mahomes. Stop expecting everyone to be Aaron Rodgers. Stop expecting everybody to be Russell Wilson. There is only one Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes, respectively. So they have their franchise guy. You don't have to pay him now. Give him another year in the system. See how it goes. I feel like he's the long-term solution there. And because he has been so great with the team and in this organization and with Stefanski and been patient with all the chaos that's been there, there's no telling. Like, he has all these commercials and stuff. He may just be one of those guys that gives him a team-friendly deal. And you also look at the division as well. He's a young guy. They are actually more stable than the Cincinnati Bengals, even though I love Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, they still have to get to the level of expectations that we have set for them and they have set for themselves. And we already talked about the Steelers. So I think this is a great situation for Cleveland. They don't have to pay him right now, but I do think he is the long-term solution there. Don't get greedy, Cleveland.
Joy Freed of Colin Cowherd sings the praises of Baker Mayfield. It is just so enjoyable to experience this. Somewhere. I am with you, Joy. He's the long-term solution at the right price. They were 11-5. Baker Mayfield didn't make them 11-5. But they were 11-5 with Baker Mayfield. So I took a very simple litmus test with this. I closed my eyes. Close your eyes with me. Close your eyes.
All right.
And imagine the Cleveland Browns winning the Super Bowl. I know it's a little imaginary, but imagine them winning the Super Bowl. And then imagine Baker Mayfield raising the trophy. The Lombardi Trophy.
Can we open our eyes?
I can imagine him in that scenario. I can't imagine him raising the Super Bowl MVP trophy. I do not see him as the guy that leads them to a Super Bowl. But not much like Brady in 2019 when Julian Edelman was the Super Bowl MVP, or in 2017 when Von Miller was and Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl. I see Baker being capable, having the chutzpah as a quarterback, and the way that they're playing, relying on their running game and their defense to be good enough and gutsy enough in the right situations to be part of that. I just like his swagger. And I think if you keep it contained, they can be successful. So again, it's the right price. If he goes Dak Prescott on us and like, I want to be paid like a number one pick and I'm Patrick Mahomes and all that, then I'm like, Baker, we can probably find somebody at another price to carry the water. But if he's willing to say, look, I'm making a ton on these commercials and I'm damn good at it, I can afford to take a little less for us to be good, then I'm all in and rolling with Baker.
I'm glad you brought up Dak Prescott, because that was my second go around on my point. He had an 11-5 year. And listen, when I say no, I said no because I'm not sure. I'm not certain. I have questions. That's why I said no. So I'm going to err on the side of caution and say no versus saying yes. But when you look at Baker Mayfield, he's probably feeling a lot more confident and comfortable about who he is as a player, about himself coming into this next season. And I would assume that his teammates feel exactly the same way. So when you talk about bringing that type of expectation, standard, belief, and confidence, you got to believe that there's going to be some results. I mean, it's a mindset thing, right, people? If you have the right mindset, you're going to get the right results, because hard work is going to be the product of your belief and the actions that take place after that. So when I look at what Baker has going on right now at an 11-5 record, even if he wasn't the catalyst, does he get the confidence? Does he get that extra boost coming into the season where he starts to be the catalyst of them being 11-5 and making it to the playoffs? And then that makes me think about Dak Prescott. Do you give him the money now, considering that you may think he will transition into being that uncontested guy for your team and not have to deal with the headaches that comes with if he puts together another campaign that yields them a playoff appearance? Or do you pay him now and avoid all of those things and just have the confidence of letting him play it out and be the guy for your team? Dak Prescott could be the reason why they give Baker Mayfield the nod even before he really has truly proven it, Joy.
Well, I personally feel like Dak Prescott is a much better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I don't want to get crazy with the much, but considerably better than Baker Mayfield, I feel like Dak Prescott is. But I have a note here as well.
Better quarterback.
Baker went further.
I have better quarterback.
No, Baker didn't go further.
As far.
Yeah, I have a note too from my second go around, and I'm glad that you brought up the Super Bowl, Rick. That was a great exercise. Close your eyes and visualize, because right here I think I can see him as a confetti guy. Shout out to Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks, a confetti guy. I could see Baker Mayfield holding the Lombardi, not the Super Bowl MVP, to your point, Rick, but I could see that happening. Now, you want to bring up Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott is a better quarterback, but Dak Prescott was also willing to play that game with the franchise tag. They're far away from that still because Baker is in his fourth year of his rookie contract, so they can decide whether, obviously, to activate his fifth-year option, and this fifth-year option would be around $25 million. So they could do that, LeVar, and do what they didn't do with Dak Prescott, negotiate now at a reasonable price, and then they don't run into that. But I also don't see Baker Mayfield playing that game, the franchise tag game. So, again, I think that they need to be patient with the situation, see how it goes this year. You know Stefanski is the guy. He's building a culture. You saw what Baker was able to do. Just be patient. Don't go out there looking for, the next supermodel. You got a nice, beautiful woman right now. I know I'm using a lot of these girl analogies, but I can't help it.
Also.
I'm just trying to be relatable. This is how it works. So I think that this is a good situation for the Browns. Be patient. I think he's the long-term solution, and I don't see Baker playing that franchise tag game with them.
Ain't no confetti falling on Cleveland. Shouts out to Cleveland. Coming up next, Joe Montana says the Niners should stick with Jimmy G. We'll tell you if we agree. Next on Speak for Yourself. Welcome back, Jimmy Garoppolo. He's missed 23 games due to injuries since he was traded to the 49ers. That has helped spark reports that, they could be looking to move on from the Niners. Move from him. Anyways, Niners legend Joe Montana, he's saying they should keep Jimmy G. He should stay in the Bay Area. So, when he's there, we got to see how good his success is going to be. Rick, talk to me, because I totally messed up that read. Talk to me about the 49ers and what should they do with Jimmy G.
I'm a little astonished that I may be more tapped into the 49ers than Joe Montana, but so be it. As I've told you guys before, what I'm hearing is that the 49ers have legitimate concerns about what Jimmy G is going to be when he gets back from this current injury. It's not just his injury history, but what he's going to be when he gets back. So I believe, yes, they shouldn't keep him. Yes, they should move on from Jimmy G if they have an option. While there are some concerns about how good he is when he is healthy, can he be the guy who ultimately closes the deal for them? The greater issue is his availability and concerns that this last injury has taken something from him that he's not capable of getting back. And considering that there was already a question of could he meet the mark, this is a Super Bowl contending team. Yes, they had a slew of injuries last year along with Jimmy G, but the feeling is coming back healthy, they have to go for it now. And can they do it with Jimmy G? Will he be available to do that? There's a reason that they were looking at Teddy Bridgewater, as reports had, that they were looking at the possibility of bringing Teddy Bridgewater in, who is not a full-on backup. He's paid like a starter. So to make that move, to get a guy who would be making only $6 million less and that you'd have to trade for, that's an indication of the uncertainty of the availability for Jimmy G. So it's not me saying whether they should keep or go. It sounds as if the 49ers are making the decision, we need to move on from Jimmy G if we can.
No, I'm with Joe on this one, and I think you should stay with Jimmy G. I mean, much like how I just jacked up the first part of this segment, you can still bounce back and do some great things after that happens, right? And look, I'm doing it right now. You know why? Because Jimmy G bounced back after that ACL tear. That's his worst injury that he's sustained during his career. We talk about 23 misses due to injury. Okay, well, after that ACL injury, he came back and led his team to the Super Bowl. Okay, so you can sit there and say, okay, he's injury prone, and that's the reason why you want to look to move on from him. But if you go to the full screen, people, he had a high ankle sprain this year. If you look at the amount of injuries that took place this season, you got Nick Bosa. He missed 14 games, 4 games than Garoppolo. Solomon Thomas, D4, 15 games. Richard Sherman, 11. You got some real trustworthy dudes on this list of walking wounded that had injuries, and some of them you will still lean on next year to win games for the San Francisco 49ers. So I implore you to take a look at my guy, Jimmy Garoppolo, and say a high ankle sprain is not an injury, Joy, that I would lose my mind over and say, I'm ready to move on from the guy who has given me success as a head coach and as an organization at this juncture in the 49ers, history.
Well, yes, there were a ton of injuries to San Francisco last year. You can't argue that. I don't think anyone is blaming the season last year on Jimmy G because, as you just mentioned, injuries galore. They're not concerned just about this injury. They're concerned about 2016 when he had a shoulder injury, 2018 when he missed 13 games, 2019 when he started all 16 games, and then in 2020 when he missed 10 more. Jimmy G is injury prone, and that might not be Jimmy G's fault. And when he is available, he might be great, but we never know if he's going to be available. And that is a huge problem. I'm a Capricorn, okay? I like consistency. I love superstars, but if you can't be a superstar, just be reliable. Just be available. Availability is a skill. And there may be not anything particular that Jimmy G is doing to his body to make him not available, but we know he is often not available. He missed 23 games. That is a lot. He's getting, dare I say it, into that Sam Bradford territory where we talk more about his injuries
look how many opportunities
than we do about his talent. Right, but that was, just because we did something before doesn't mean we should continue doing that.
He didn't win as much as Jimmy Garoppolo.
I like Jimmy G. He was one throw away from winning the Super Bowl. I don't think that he isn't talented enough to win a Super Bowl, but you got to be on the field to do that, and we never know if he's going to be there. So the frustration that the 49ers have with him is completely reasonable. It's not based off of his talent. We know that. Is he going to be on the field? You can't plan your season around someone if you don't know if they're going to be available. So should they run it back this year? Yes, because you don't have another option. Now, if they're going to be aggressive and get another option, I'm all for that, but they probably won't. So run it back this year. But next year, similar to the Pittsburgh Steelers that we talked about earlier, you have to figure out what the next move is because you can't continue to have Jimmy G as your starting franchise quarterback with all of these injuries. You never know if he's going to be available. That's not a knock on him personally. It's not a knock on his work ethic. He just isn't available quite often, and that's just not how you can plan your organization. You can't do it, and you can't commit to him long term.
Yeah, I'm not going to have us do another close your eyes experiment here when it comes to Jimmy G. And I love how Joy just dropping hints left and right how to get into her favor. You don't have to be great. You just have to be consistent with me, okay? I'm glad, LeVar, that you mentioned the injury and how they're defining it, because that's at the heart of what I'm hearing, which is they're defining it as a high ankle sprain, which are pretty severe. That's not a typical pull your ankle type thing. But that it's actually a little more severe than that. That's what they're calling it, but it may be a little more severe, and that's what puts this in the gray area. So that's why should be more caution about what the 49ers are going to do going forward than just talking about a guy who sprained his ankle.
I'm wishing you luck, Jimmy G. Everybody's hating you, man. Anyways, coming up next, we know Myles Garrett. He's a freak athlete. But how impressive was his box jump? That's next on Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back. Earlier this week, Myles Garrett posted a 58-inch box jump at the end of his workout. Then, retired All-Pro DeMarcus Ware responded with a running box jump at 66 inches, and he's 38 years old. So, LeVar, who had the more impressive feat?
It's Myles Garrett. I mean, I understand the age thing, but look at how high that box is on Myles. Like, it's almost right just below his shoulders. Like, that's basically saying you can stand without any steps and jump to the person's head. You're going to jump that high. Whereas DeMarcus ran and jumped. I just think that the amount of weight, 260 pounds, man, forget that. Myles Garrett is a freak. So is DeMarcus, but Myles Garrett's standstill is much better, much more impressive.
What Myles did was impressive, but you are not giving age its just due. LeVar, you can say you are, but you are not. I love the fact that DeMarcus Ware saw this and decided at 38, you know what? I'm going to come with my counter video and show you that I can go above and beyond yours by 8 inches.
Then stand.
Let me put it this way.
Then stand still
Myles
and do it.
Garrett at age 38, after 12 seasons in the NFL, is not getting to 66 inches. I don't care whether you give him a runway of an advantage in running up to it. He's not getting there.
You're deflecting.
So for me, without question, DeMarcus Ware takes the case. And by the way, I'll take 6 inches off because of the running jump. He's still beating him by a couple inches.
It's obviously DeMarcus Ware. I get sleep injuries now at the age of 34. Like, I go to bed, I feel fine, I wake up, and the neck and the shoulder. I can't even walk a flight of steps without being out of breath, and I try to work out quite often. This is obviously more impressive. DeMarcus Ware has a whole lot more wear and tear on his body at this point than Myles Garrett does.
What was that?
Running or not, this is definitely more
photography?
impressive.
Did y'all say that was
trick photography?
What? Breaking news, trick photography with DeMarcus? Okay.
Listen, this is
They said it was trick
more
photography.
impressive. Way more impressive. No disrespect to Myles Garrett, who is obviously a freak, and that is impressive. But DeMarcus Ware doing it at his age, to Rick's point, with that kind of wear and tear on his body, running or not, it's more impressive.
Well, I'm with the old heads anyway, so it is what
Points
it is.
off for Myles' video on playing hoops the other day. Now that, you talk about working the cameras, that was a case of doing exactly that.
It was unbelievably impressive. I had fun today, guys. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, super fun.
A little Pittsburgh in the house.
4-1-2, baby.
You know what it is.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow. The guys, myself, LeVar, Rick Bucher, Fox Bet Live starts right now.